I am going to be sharing my curriculum choices for the 2021-2022 school year. I know it is approaching mid-October, and as far as the homeschool community goes, that is incredibly late in sharing your school year curriculum choices. If you are familiar at all with a lot of the homeschooling community and social media, I mean, people were sharing their upcoming school year picks in May. And a lot of people start in July, a lot of people start in August, and then some people start in September. We school all year round. We don't always hit in July or August. It just hit the right way based off of how my husband had vacation during the summertime so that we could spend a lot of family time together. We did start the first week of September. I'm also a type of homeschooling mom where I don't just buy stuff at the beginning of the school year and then stick to it no matter what. We really reevaluate, and I try to see what's working, what's not, and how I can move things around. And so sometimes mid-year, I purchase new things depending on what I think is going to work for my kiddos and my family. So maybe you're in the middle of your school year and you are trying to figure out something else that might work for your kids. Maybe something that I mentioned is something you haven't come across before and you're interested in looking at it for your family. I have a 4-year-old daughter and an 8, almost 9-year-old son. Technically pre-K, technically 3rd grade. I'm going to be showing some preschool homeschooling picks that I am doing for my daughter. I am also in the camp where school, like formal lessons for preschoolers, is not necessary. I am a big advocate for play and more play and more play. So all last year, my 3 and then 4-year-old daughter was asking, where's my workbook? When am I doing school? Can I do lessons today? And I was always kind of empty-handed or had to scramble with something because she was watching something that her brother was experiencing, and that was just kind of how the day went, and she was asking for it. So this year I tried to be intentional about curating some things that I think she was really going to enjoy. The actual formal, like the phonics stuff and the other curriculum I'm going to show you, if she wakes up that day and she says to me, no, I don't want to do that, I'm not offended and I'm not going to push. As a 4-year-old, I am not super concerned with her sitting down and doing any sort of formal lessons, but I'm glad that I have some things put together so that if she does want to do these things, I'm not scrambling and caught off guard. And yeah, it just really works for us. So when you see me share these things, I am not pushing formal lessons for a preschooler or a pre-K. If you just need some things to pull from, maybe these suggestions will work for you too. Okay, I'm going to start off with, we are a really eclectic type of homeschooling family. I use some Charlotte Mason things. I use some traditional things. I use some game schooling. I do lots of things. I honestly don't even know how to label us. I'm not the biggest fan of labels, but some people like to get that right off the bat, like figured out kind of what you're going to be seeing. I have some of everything. We also are a Christian family, and a lot of our picks represent that. Some of what I have in here is secular, and some of it is Christian based. So kind of look through and peek through and see what catches your interests. Okay, I'm going to start off with how we start off our morning, and that is with our Bible devotional time. So we are using the Morning Time from Brighter Day Press. She has a couple different guides. This is her first one. This walks you through. It begins with Genesis. If you are familiar with Charlotte Mason, she has this set up in a Charlotte Mason type learning. I don't know if that was a grammatically correct sentence. She starts, she uses her guide in terms. She has it split up into 3 terms. This is really beautiful. This is not just entirely Bible. There are poems, there's composer study, there's artist study. So then you also get some picture study in during some of the weeks. She has included, what are they called? playlists on Spotify that she has curated based off of what she suggests. She does suggest a 5-day school week. She has like a suggested schedule in here. We do not follow a 5-day school week. We follow a 4-day school week. I always leave one of the days in our week blank where I don't have actual lessons scheduled or planned, because it is just a lot for me when we have recipes and projects, field trips. We're also part of our local Wild and Free group, and we get together every other Friday. And so I have just blocked out Fridays so that in our curriculum, if there was a project or a recipe that went along with it, I have it blocked out and made time for it on Friday instead of really trying to squeeze all of our lesson days in with so much. So this has really worked for us. But if you are looking for a 5-day school week, or just trying to figure out what works for your family, and this is a really good suggested way. She includes hymns. There is memory work, which is very Charlotte Mason. We incorporate Bible verse memorization in a different way, but it's suggested in here if you're looking for that, which is wonderful. She also suggests using the Storybook Bible for kids in the devotional part of it. We are not using that this year. I bought this treasury of illustrated Bible stories. The pictures in here are absolutely beautiful. The pictures in here do depict white people. I know that that's not historically accurate, but the pictures are beautiful, and that's a way that you can incorporate conversations with your kids as well. You do not use like a summary or a story. They use actual Bible verses in here to tell the story. It does follow along in the same way that she suggests for the Storybook Bible, so the fact that this can still work for us, it's something that it just felt better for our family. She also suggests using the New City Catechisms as deep dives into biblical ideas, and there just wasn't a whole lot of direction for me in that. I'm sure it works super well for other people. I don't have a problem with it at all. I definitely suggest looking through it to see what you think might fit for your family. I was recommended this book, not personally recommended. Homeschool Well recommended this in her stories when she was talking about how she incorporates devotional Bible time. It's along the same idea. There is a biblical idea that you deep dive into with each page. There's the worldview, and then what the Bible actually says. I take what we need and make it age appropriate. Not a censoring thing, and I'm not manipulating it so that it speaks to my truth. I'm just age appropriate things. I hope that makes sense. In the Brighter Day Press Guide for Morning Time, she also has living storybooks that are super sweet and a great way for you to learn history of composer or artist. It's a really, really well put together guide for all sorts of different beauty subjects that you may be trying to incorporate and piece together on your own into your homeschooling routine. And I think that this is a really great way to round out all of it in a way that she's taken the time and work to do it. So after we are done with Bible devotional time, we also move on to nature study. Okay, I have to just say, this is our 3rd year homeschooling. The other 2 years that we homeschooled, I did not incorporate a formal nature study. We are outside all of the time. We're part of Wild and Free. I also had another girlfriend group that we got together once a week, and we went hiking and did trails and did all sorts of things. And it was really, really fun. And we also were learning about nature in our science curriculum. And so I did not incorporate a nature study formally until this year. And I have to just say, I cannot begin to explain the fun and the joy that this nature study guide has brought to our family. We do morning time together and we do nature study together, and then we split, and my son has his independent work, and then I work independently with my daughter as well. So this is something that we also do as a family, and it has been so much fun. So basically, she also has a suggested schedule. It's also a 5-day-a-week schedule, but there's so much packed into there. It is wonderful. I'm going to link everything that I'm speaking about down below. Treehouse Schoolhouse, she has a YouTube and she has a Instagram. I follow her heavily on Instagram. She shares so much, so many cool nuggets of different things and ways to teach your kids. There are different themes for each week. We just got done with the fungus week and it was so sweet. There is picture study, there is poetry, there is hand rhymes and songs. It brings in the nostalgia of the fun part of learning from when you're little. There's also copy work if you want to do that. And then there's always some sort of hands-on unit for each theme, whether that be, you fill in the anatomy of a mushroom or of a bird. There was Birds of Prey was one of the themes for one week. There is a recipe for apple pie during the apple unit. It's so encompassing and it's so beautiful and it's a really fun way for us to come together. The songs are so sweet. She's also curated a Spotify playlist that she links for you when you purchase the guide. My kids love the songs. They're so fun. She also has put together a book list of both fiction and nonfiction books for you to collect and read throughout the week. I have bought a couple from each of the lists on a used book site. You could easily look ahead and see what's coming up in the next couple weeks and request them from your library. That's what I have done in years past when I need books for different curriculums. It's just so fun, and there's so much whimsy, hands-on, crafty, creative type things that she has put together in this guide. I highly suggest it, and she has plans to come out with guides for all of the season. She's about to drop the winter guide. I'm going to snag it up. If you are looking for just a fun pre-K or preschool curriculum, I would highly suggest the nature study because it just has so much with all of the songs, the copy work. If you do want to go through with copy work, there is watercolor every week, the poems, the hand rhymes, the books. There really is just so much packed into that. Anyway, I would highly suggest checking out the Treehouse Schoolhouse Nature Study. If you want me to deep dive into all of this or any of this, just let me know down in the comments and I will do a video on one of the individual subjects that you're wanting me to talk more on. Those are our family beauty together subjects, and it is so fun to spend the morning that way. I move directly to working one-on-one with my daughter if she wants to do work that day because she's 4 and after a certain amount of time she's over it. All of our beauty subjects, it takes about 40 to 45 minutes for us to finish that whole part of the morning. These are the things that I have chosen for my daughter that I think they are age appropriate, level appropriate, challenge appropriate, and they speak to how we teach. So I'm using the Moving Beyond the Page box curriculum, and let me just say, you guys, they offer so much at Moving Beyond the Page. So when you go to each age group or grade level, they have curated a bunch of books for that grade level. There is science and math and language arts wrapped up into it depending on the grade level. You can buy a la carte, so if you are just looking for a certain science unit, you can go on there and they will probably have that type of science unit worked into there some way, and you could just purchase it like that, which is not super common for big box curriculum like that, where you can a la carte piece it together the way that you would like. I did buy the age 4 to 5, which is technically their kindergarten. That is their lowest level. When you buy, you also have an option to purchase all of the books as well. We already had about half of the books on the book list, just like in our home library. So I put together the rest of the books through used bookstores and some on Amazon. I would not brush off buying from Amazon for your book lists. A lot of the times, the paperbacks on there are cheaper than, and they're in brand new condition than you can find on used bookstores. So don't brush it off. I go to all of the sources and try to check out what is the best bang for my buck. So anyway, what I love about this curriculum, each week they call a unit, okay? And each unit has its own book that you are learning through that week. They have a whole kit for every single week of supplies and craft things put together that you utilize for the week if you want to. Literally, they send you a big box. Each week has its own little label and a baggie, and it has all of the supplies that you need versus like a pencil, that sort of thing that they assume you have at home in there. It's wonderful if you are just kind of like, I cannot go out to this store and put all of this stuff together myself. So I really like that. Just like with all of the curriculums I use, I piece together what I want to teach and what I think my kids are going to benefit from the most. I do not just go on here and read this script and do it fully every single day. There is a script though, so that is something that I have a lot of conversation with new homeschoolers. They say, I wouldn't even know where to start. I wouldn't know how to teach this. I wouldn't know how to teach that. There are many curriculums where it suggests, say this to your kid, teach it this way to your kid. And if you are just getting started, that's a really great way to have confidence in what you are about to teach. What I do when I plan, because there's so much in here, I go through and I just highlight the different activities or options that I would like to do for that week that I think I'm going to get the most out of for my daughter. Like I said before, you don't have to know how to read. They do suggest in this kindergarten curriculum that if you're doing kindergarten to have an accompanying phonics program. They suggest a phonics program and sell a phonics program. I have been in love with Logic of English, and that is the phonics program that we use. I bought the foundations package. I also bought the package in Cursive. There's been lots of literature that suggests that if a student may have some sort of learning disability as far as an attention disability, dyslexia, that sort of thing, that Cursive can be really helpful. I do not know if my daughter has any sort of learning disability. I just thought that it would be nice to start off with Cursive right off the bat. And if something comes up and this has been helpful for her, that's also wonderful. I would have to do a whole video just on Logic of English, but it's been really, really fun. Really enjoyed this so far. It's super fun. My daughter calls them dragon lessons because the dragon's on the front of the books. If you would like me, there are Logic of English videos on YouTube that I've seen people put together. I would go look through those. If you're also looking for my point of view and how I organize it, because there's lots of little pieces, and how I make it work for my daughter, I will absolutely make a video on that. All right, while I'm working one-on-one with my daughter, there are definitely some things that my son can do independently, and then there's other subjects that I sit down with him and do them one-on-one with him. One of the subjects that he can do either while we're doing one of our morning time read-alouds or while I'm working with my daughter is Cursive. We did not start out with Cursive with my son. This is such a nice Cursive curriculum. I looked through all the ones. I saw Kindle Togetherness talking about A Gentle Feast, and though the whole teaching through Charlotte Mason as a whole doesn't really speak to me and our family, there's beautiful bits and pieces of it that I love to incorporate into our rhythms and routines. I did look through their stuff, and this Cursive handwriting guide was right up our alley. What I really love, and I think probably most cursive curriculums do it like this, is that they teach similar movements all together. So these letters all begin with similar movements and have similar structure, and they teach all of those together before moving on to curved or swoop ones, which I think is awesome. They start with lowercase, you move into uppercase, and then once you have gone into uppercase, then they start having phrases. They move on, you know. I think that that's probably pretty typical for most cursive curriculums. You start small, move big. It's really pretty. There's some really beautiful passages that go along with this. Words are hard for me today. I would like to do just a little bit of formal work. States, capitals, getting an idea of where they are in our country, like when you're looking at it geographically. So I bought the Memoria Press States and Capitals Student Workbook. Okay, you guys, kind of bummed with Memoria Press in the sense that when you buy something from them, so this is the student notebook, everything's empty. You have to buy the parent guide to get the review, tests, quizzes, that sort of thing. They don't include it in here, and it's basically this exact same book with everything filled in. So instead of just getting, like a little answer key booklet or an answer key in the back of the student booklet, you have to purchase a full booklet to get all of the answers for everything. And they do this for their literature guides too. I feel like it's that's like a money grab. It's like a waste. I definitely think that you can fit in some sort. Anyway, their stuff is beautiful. They have a huge catalog of things for all different grades. Lovely stuff. But I think we could work on putting an answer key in the back of these things so that I don't have to spend $30 for a whole, bundle and you can't just buy the teacher guide and scan each individual page and then just save it for the tests and the quiz, because they have it all filled in, and I'm not going to go in and white all of it out. So anyway, that bummed me out. States and capitals, they do it by region. The book that you use to learn the states and capitals with, this is also the spine for that. It's don't know much about the 50 states. This is really fun. There's silly facts that go along with each of the states, the state guide. So this has been fun. My son likes to do this. History. History is a tricky one, you guys. I think that has been probably the most challenging curriculum that I have found to teach. I love history and I love teaching history. History has been written depending on the writer in lots of different ways, and we know that. Yeah. I think you need to review the history curriculum that you're wanting to teach, and then read ahead of time, ahead of your kids. I'm a huge proponent for pre-reading. Read ahead of your kids, and when you come across something, because I don't think there's a perfect history curriculum out there, when you come across something that is a conversation moment that you have with your children about the truths that you know that may be different than what is written in the book. So a lot of people are getting screamed at about their history choices, and that's my preface before I go into this. It's your responsibility to read ahead and have conversations where you feel like they're necessary to clarify. And we have done that plenty with past curriculums and a bit with this one. So this is our Star Spangled Story. This is aimed for 1st through 4th grade. This is not a deep dive, okay? And when I say it's aimed for 1st through 4th grade, it's very age appropriate. You're not going to have, there are dates and names in here, but it is not a deep dive and an analysis in any sense of the way. It's a little skim, which is age appropriate. When you get older, you do more of the deep dive. Okay, so it's broken up into units. Each unit has 3 lessons, and this is something that my son can read on his own. So I will write out on our planner what lessons I want him to go through. This is told from a biblical point of view. There are Bible verses in here. When they speak about the pilgrims and the colonists, they do speak about it from what their purpose was and what they were sharing with the world. This has songs that go along with it. There also is a supplemental reading bundle that you can get that goes along with it that has different novels that accompany each of the units. We did buy that too. My son goes through those and reads them on his own as well, and then we have conversations. I read each of those books before he reads them. I am a proponent of pre-reading. So this also helps a lot with geography, especially on the East Coast, which has always been my dinger with geography. Stuff on the East Coast, in my opinion, is hard to find. So we are from the Pacific Northwest, by the way. Everything over here is big and very easy to find. We have been liking that. There's an accompanied student notebook that has like little fun art lessons at the end of it. That's been great. For science this year, we are using Blossom and Root. This is the 3rd year that I've used Blossom and Root in some capacity. I searched high and low for different science curriculums to use, and I have to just say, she does a really beautiful job of putting this together. This is secular science. When you do 1st grade science, you learn about the world is put together from like swirling dust and space debris, and it forms like a big spinning gravitational lump, and that's how the world started. That is not our personal view of the way that the world came to be. We believe in creation, but I teach this to my kids because I think that they need to be knowledgeable about all aspects of the world and all views, and be able to, form opinions and arguments for and against, like I was taught in all my AP classes about how to form formal arguments, that sort of thing. This year is the Wonders of the Animal Kingdom. We did plants and fungi last year, and the year before, I think it was like physical, like you learn about rocks, weather, that sort of thing. That was really fun. She has a really wonderful way of curating for different learning styles. Each week, she calls it a wonder. Each week there is a different topic. She starts very basic and then she builds on them, and there's big picture messages that she has put together and written. There's a spine, a main book that you get most of your information from, and then she also has included, for different learning styles for different families, different ways you can approach that. So here's a suggestion. This is just Wonder for sponges, cnidarians, and echidnoderms. Like I said, she starts from the basic and builds up on it, which is a good way to learn and teach. If you are a minimalist, this is all you need. You need the spine and her big picture messages that she has pulled out that are the main ideas for the topic that week. There is a book basket option. If you really love to learn through living books, then this is a good option for you. We take part in this a lot. There's some things that I already have, some things that I look through and I bought, and other things that I am on wait lists through my library for the upcoming weeks to bring home myself. Visual learners, there are some YouTube videos that she has already gone through, and she thinks that they are age appropriate, as well as me pre-reading books. I think that it should be also on the parent for you to pre-watch videos. It's just my opinion. I'm not telling you what to do. She also suggests this. Parents, go through and view it first. So, and then there's a lab guide, and it comes with different activities and projects to do. We kind of combine them all. So we always do the minimalist option, which is the main ideas and the spine. We love books. We pull together some books. I don't read all the books on the book basket list, but we definitely pull them together. We definitely watch some of the YouTube videos. She has some really fun labs that she has curated and put together to teach each of the topics for each week. And so she also lists out all of the supplies you'd need ahead of time. This is a really well put together book, and I love the approach that she did, and I can't find this anywhere else. So if there is a science curriculum that you really love, I would love for you guys to share it down below. I just think the way that this is broken up into so many different learning styles, and you're really able to piece together the best way to teach your child and the way that your child gets the most out of it and what they enjoy has been, I really, really love her, really love the science curriculums. Run through math real fast because language arts and literature is a long one. We use Singapore, the US edition. I have looked through dimensions and all the colors. It looks really fun. I know it's also kind of geared, lots of people utilize it in their family homeschooling. I know it's also kind of geared to like classroom work is also something that I've read through too. This is the one that we used from the beginning, and it works really well. I should have bought 4th grade for my son right off the bat because this is another area that he is pretty advanced in, and I should have bought, but anyway, I have 3rd grade to show you. You get a parent guide. This doesn't have an exact script, but it does have a description of go through this with your child, you know, put together something like this for your kids. So it's not a word-by-word script like something like Saxon Math would do in the parent guide, but it does give you direction, and it does tell you what to pull out, and then it does tell you what pages to learn. So there's the parent guide, there's the textbook this is one of the sit-down things that I do with my son. There's the parent guide, there's the textbook. They've got lots of colors. It tells you which numbers to go through for what you're learning that day, and then it has the suggested workbook number, and this is something he does on his own, and then he'll go in and he'll do, you know, the workbook. We really like that. He also does Beast Academy online. Beast Academy, that's a whole other story if you would like me to deep dive into Beast Academy and our opinions. You can get hard copy books. My son does the online version of it. It teaches in a totally different way, and so it is challenging, which we appreciate. It's also fun and kind of storybooky. If you would like more information on Beast Academy, I'd love to deep dive into that. So we kind of go back and forth with that right now. I'm just doing the reviews and the tests and going through the reviews and the tests with him because the actual work is something that he already has under his belt. For the challenging stuff, he does Beast Academy. When 4th grade through Singapore comes in, we will reevaluate and do something different then. All right, my biggest challenge in putting together curriculum this year for my son was definitely language arts and literature. He reads like a fiend. He has a very high reading level, and his comprehension is also really great. His use of grammar is also above grade level. I don't like the grade thing when you're in homeschool, but I think it's helpful for people to kind of get an idea of where to jump off from. And whenever I was trying to look for language arts and encompassing literature programs, we either had already read through half of the book list. What I did this year, and this was really hard, so people that put together literature and language arts curriculum, hats off to you. What a feat, okay? I went through and I tried to find books that were going to challenge him in some capacity with his reading level and vocabulary and comprehension, but something that he's going to enjoy, right? I'm not just going to hand him like Great Expectations, right? He could probably read every word through there, but one, that would be super boring for an 8/9-year-old boy. Two, he's not going to get anything out of that. He just won't. So I wanted to do something that was fun for him, that he enjoyed, but that was also a teaching element. And let me just say this was hard, okay? Because I looked through lots of different literature and study guides for different books, and different companies suggest different books for different age groups. Like, for example, Charlotte's Web in first grade, like read this aloud to your child in first grade. Yes, when you're reading it aloud and that's a fun family read aloud, I could totally see it doing that in first grade. When you're reading it and doing comprehension stuff with it, there's like this is a comprehension guide that says that this is for levels 3 to 5. And so there's places that say, read this book, and our study guide for this book is for, grades 3. And then you see that same book and they suggest it for grades 5 or 6. So it was really hard for me to say, is this actually going to be challenging in the ways that my son needs it best? I just grabbed a bunch of different things, different companies, and we're going to kind of just see how it works. And then this is a way that I also will know, okay, we really like the way we learn through this company and we don't like the way we learn through this company, etc. So I accidentally bought 2 study guides for Charlotte's Web. This is through Veritas Press. This is their comprehension guide through there. I do love that there are projects and deep dives in here from what I've flipped through. I am pretty sure is also a Christian-based company. I am not seeing any verse work in here, but I'll double check and I will make a note down below. I can't remember, but they might be. I also bought Great Works instruction guides for literature. This one also looks so fun, and now I'm like, well, which one am I going to do? Which one am I going to do? I don't know, but this one looks super fun as well. Picture drawing, some little fun elements for ways of teaching. Okay, Charlotte's Web. This is Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry. I can't remember what age they said this was. I think maybe 5th grade, 3rd or 5th. This is, again, how stinking hard to curate a book list for literature. So I did want to read this one with Rowan. This one also looks great. There's a lot of comprehension and vocab and narration elements, learning that in here, which I think is great. This is through Discovering Literature series, a teaching guide too. And they have a whole bunch of other books on the back. This is probably not their whole list. Anyway, got that one. Sarah Plain and Tall. This I got as a used bundle. It came with the book and the student guide and the parent guide. This is through the Teacher Created Materials Literature Unit. That's this company. They have a whole slew of books on the back as well for other literature guides. This one similarly has different teaching elements. This is another one where they're like, teach this in 6th grade, teach this in 1st grade, teach this in 3rd grade. So it's all over the place. I think it depends mostly on what sort of language arts elements and comprehension deep dives they really get into with the book. So it's hard. Also bought Miss V of Chico Teague. Is it Chico Teague? I don't know how to pronounce that. So I'm going to have to look it up before my son reads it. We read another book by this author and he liked it and he wanted to read something else. And so this is the one I looked through and I thought it looked pretty cute. This is by also Teacher Created Materials. Bought it from Thrift Books, used. They're great. I can't remember what age that they said this was, but it looked cute. Also got Sign of the Beaver. This is through Progeny Press. This says grade level 5 through 7. So I saw Sign of the Beaver in a 4th grade suggested reading level on another one. We're going to just see how it goes. This one also, if I remember correctly, comes from a Christian point of view because there are some biblical verses that go along with some of the comprehension questions. So these are what I put together. This is not all of them. I bought a bunch from different companies. I will see what we get through. Language arts. I am not well versed in the social media homeschooling acronyms. This is something Michael Clay Thompson that is really popular in some circles, and I had no idea what it was. I I kept seeing, we do MCT, we do the MCT method, we use MCT for language arts. I found out it's Michael Clay Thompson. This also, okay, this is from a very small private publishing company that does, it's Royal Fireworks Press. I believe they have lots of teaching materials on there. This is expensive, and I looked for it used so hard. I could not find it complete, like in a complete bundle used. I looked through some of the videos, and there's not very many on YouTube that I could find about the MCT curriculum for language arts, for grammar. This is another one of those where there's a student guide and the parent guide, and they're exactly the same. It's just one has answers in them too. I could not buy both the student and the parent. I mean, we could, but I'm not doing that. I just wasn't going to do that myself. If you have the means to, maybe it would be helpful for you. This is exactly what the student guide looks like, except the parent guide has the little answers underneath. Because it's telling you, okay, go through and then read out, like identify what each part of speech is. And then it does have some little bubbles on the side for parents to kind of like prompt and give questions to. Those are the only things missing in the student guide. The student guide is color and word for word everything except for, so what I do is we read stuff. I have an index card when we're doing lessons, and I cover up the answers, and then I lift it up and we work through it together, which I think is a good way to learn it anyway. So I did buy Grammar Island, Sentence Island, the poetry one. The only thing I bought that was the student part of it is like the actual flip up, like the practice work. The practice book I bought for him so that he could actually put to work what we're learning. Holy cow. Okay. This is from School Nest. I'm sure you guys have seen all of the gorgeous, beautiful rainbow notebooks for all different sorts of subjects that she has. I follow her on Instagram. I got the 3rd grade notebook. I'm just going to flip to a blank page. For the 3rd grade notebook, there is a full line of wide rule. This is pretty wide. It's nice. It's good for my 3rd grade writer. A space up here for a date. And then there is the, what is this called? Dot grid on the opposing page. So we do the writing, because in Michael Clay Thompson, it does say, okay, you know, take a different part of speech from, make a sentence, base that off of, write a story, okay? So we utilize this notebook. This can be for pictures, this can be for annotations or notes. This is what he uses to write. So this is also something that we use, and it's really fun and beautiful, and there are so many colors and so many different grades and subjects that you can buy these for. Highly suggest going on there and looking at that. Thanks for coming along and checking out what I had to show you. I hope your guys' school year is going great, and anyway, I'll see you in the next video.